Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Sethum and welcome back to another video for Conan Exiles. Today in this video, folks, I will be showcasing the demon boss in the Cellar dungeon, the wine cellar dungeon. And the purpose of this video is to showcase the new mechanics that this boss has. And as I said, it does deserve its own video. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to support me and the channel by hitting that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already for more similar content from myself. And if you have just subscribed, why not? Check out some of my other videos and guides here on this channel. Who knows, you might just enjoy them. And don't forget to hit that bell icon so that you get notified when I upload new videos and content to the channel. Also, for those interested, you can always find me on the Sethtopia Discord. Links to this, of course, you can find down below in the video's description, as well as in a pinned comment from myself. Now, unlike all of the other bosses that we fought so far, this boss has several elements to the fight. It does have 4 stages, and on the 4th stage, which is the most difficult, he hits like a freight train, and he does also summon in a ton of ads, and there's also a lot of things to look out for on the ground. So definitely worth preparing for. I'm going to show you the mechanics this boss has, and then I will go into what I think would be the best strategy for dealing with him. Now, I am quite happy with this boss. This is what I was asking for in my previous videos and in my previous dungeon guides. This is exactly what I like to see in the future. So as you can see, there's a little shield up there, meaning you cannot get back out. You do get locked in. The room is fairly simple, therefore you cannot really bug him out onto anything. And when he starts off, he does not hit very hard. He does have some very interesting weapons as well. There are some nice light and particle effects, as you can see. And he does have a really nice mace. I wish that was a weapon we could find in this dungeon. So at the moment, I am hitting him with what we currently have on official servers in terms of damage for the player. As you can see, we're barely scratching him per hit. So he's going to take a lot of hits to be brought down. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to up the damage on my character for the purposes of this video, as I do want to show you the stages of this boss. So this, what we're looking at the moment, is what I would call the first phase of the combat. You'll then go into phase 2, 3 and 4, phase 4 being the hardest one. So I'm gonna fly so I can kind of show you what's going on. As you can see, I'm doing this time around, I think I've upped it to 5 times. So definitely, as you can see, we're doing the bleed damage to him. So we're stacking up bleed. You can't stack up, as I showed you in my previous video, poison. That's one thing you can do, at least for this first part of the fight. I think you can also do that for the second stage. After that, the mechanics will change somewhat depending on what strategy you choose to use. So the boss will go into phase 2 at somewhere around 75% health. So he does this little teleport thing. He starts hitting the ground. Notice that there are some little light effects on the ground. So basically what you want to do is you want to avoid those, because they will stagger you and do some damage. Obviously with phase 2 they will do more damage from what I've noticed, and so on as he progresses through the game. Not a big thing at this point in time, but with stage 3 he will summon in the wraith skeletons, which also apply corruption. And obviously if he starts staggering you with that and you end up surrounded by the skeletons, that's not gonna be a good time. Obviously you will see that as well. Also during this fight there will be a change of lighting. As you can see, it is quite well lit at the moment, and phase 3 has begun. We've got the skeletons. He's also doing the thing with the hammer to the ground. Now I do like that there's a lot of stuff to look out for. As you can see, it will hit you and hurt you, and it will also stagger. So the last thing you want to do is end up surrounded by these guys. Do bear in mind that I have upped the damage, so I am killing them quite quickly. But these guys will apply corruption per hit. You will also have the boss who wants to have a piece of you, and as you can see, the room is already a bit darker. So let's get him to the next stage of the combat, and then I will kind of, once we finish the boss, I will kind of go through what I think is the best thing to do. Now you want to look out for this. You don't want to be in it, because that will do damage as well. And while I'm at it, I just wanted to kind of point out the particle effect from the mace as he swings it. I think I would like to see some weapons that the players can find with something like that. I think it would add to the beauty of the game, just as a thought. There we go, he will teleport now. And so this is the final stage. And everything goes completely dark. You've got the damage on the ground, you've got the skeletons. So you kind of have to kind of run around in a circle with the skeletons behind you to kind of avoid any sort of damage. You don't want that thing to throw you in the air and stagger you. I've turned off the lights so you guys can see exactly how dark it gets. Now you can't see the skeletons, you can sort of see this boss. But yeah, I mean, luckily there isn't stuff that you can get stuck on in the dungeon, but still, it does get quite dark. I think one thing that would have added to the difficulty of this particular boss fight is to have some normal skeletons as well that you cannot see, so therefore you need to have light to kind of fight the boss. After this, pretty much he dies, he drops the stuff, you loot him, and that's pretty much it for the fight. But to my knowledge, as far as I can think, there isn't actually a boss that has such a complex combat mechanic. It does go through quite a few phases. There are a lot of environmental hazards to look out for, which adds to the difficulty, and then there are the ads to look out for. So I think this is a good way to deal with people bringing in thralls and therefore making the bosses too easy. It definitely adds to the difficulty of this particular boss. As I said in my previous video, and I'll mention it in this, when he starts out, he does hit quite lightly, but as he goes through the stages, his damage does seem to increase. At least that is what it felt like to me when I was testing it out. Now, in terms of strategy, there are two ways you could probably try and do this. Obviously, bring a thrall with you, so that goes without say, because you want the thrall to keep the boss busy. When he goes into the third phase and summons ads, obviously at that point the thrall will be tanking the boss. You have one of two options. You can either kite the ads around the dungeon and wait for your thrall to take out the boss, or you can try and deal with the ads as quickly as you can. But do bear in mind, you will have a limited amount of time before the thrall damages the boss to the point where he goes into the fourth phase. If he goes into the fourth phase and the ads are still out, you will just summon some more ads. At that point, you don't really want to find yourself surrounded by all of those undead. Especially, you don't want to be or find yourself in a position where you are stun locked or surrounded, because you will need, remember, to during the transition from one phase to another, so that you avoid all of the environmental hazards on the ground. Also, from I think it was phase 2 or phase 3, he does do that spew mechanic in front of him, so that's another thing to avoid. I mean, obviously your thrall will be taking the blunt of it, and so as your thrall will be tanking him, you will definitely want to also bring in some healing arrows and maybe some snake arrows to apply some dots to the boss whilst you're kiting stuff around. Now, from the test that I've run, the thrall, if you equip it right with the right stuff, can take out the boss quite easily. It's just one of those things. If you can take the undead skeletons out before the boss switches to the final phase, then do that. If you can't, just kite them around, and from time to time apply a snake arrow or healing arrow depending on the situation. That seems to be a good way of doing it. The whole trick to that, especially at phase 4, if you're not going to take out the ads, is you don't want the ads to surround you. Otherwise, you will be in a lot of trouble, and they will kill you pretty darn quick, especially if you get caught in the environmental hazard that the boss does, where he does that pounding into the ground with his mace. And so that's the most difficult time of the fight. So that's one thing to definitely look out for. So that is pretty much it from this particular dungeon. I feel like the devs have listened to what I was saying. I don't know if they're watching necessarily my videos, but they have made my wishes come true, and I do like this dungeon for this boss and the difficulty that it brings, all of the stuff that you need to look out for. I will do a full guide on this, and actually I will do one both for the test live version as well as the version when it goes live. In terms of the mechanics, this is what I think a dungeon boss should be like. The bosses that we fought until now were not challenging at all. Now, a lot of people have said, why not do it without a thrall? Well, the simple fact is that the thrall is a key element of this game, and so if it's allowed in the dungeon, then that means the devs wanted it to be in the dungeon. So it's kind of saying, from my perspective at least, why not go and do a dungeon and the boss without any weapons and armor? Yes, it's possible, it's doable, but it is one of those key elements, just like the thrall. So therefore, if the devs allow it, why do it any other way? It just makes no sense to me. Now, with this particular boss, the devs have done a good job with it. It does take into consideration the fact that people will have a thrall with them, and it does complicate the situation. Even with the thrall, you still run the risk of being killed because of all the stuff going on in the background. This is what I wanted, and I guess my wish came true. So with that said, I just wanted to thank the devs for actually listening. I don't necessarily know if they watched any of my videos or watch my videos as such, but this is what the dungeons needed. I'd like to see more bosses like this, to be fairly honest. I do like the difficulty. Now, the only thing that I would like to add to what I said is I would like these dungeons to be more farmable, so maybe have some really rare rewards, not necessarily in terms of high damaging weapons, but weapons that look really cool. So for example, the mace that this guy has, why not get that to have a very rare drop chance, maybe a 1% drop chance or whatever, you know, or some sort of armor that has a particle effect, just like the upper body of this particular boss. Just as a thought, you know, nothing to be more powerful than anything else, or you know, as long as it's fairly close to what the best armor sets are. If it has the cool particle effect, I think people would definitely be farming the heck out of this for the armor just because it looks cool. So that's pretty much it for me for this video, folks. Let me know what you think about what I said, or if you like this dungeon, or if you're looking forward to it. And obviously, with that being said and done, that is it for this video, folks. I do hope that you have enjoyed it, and if you have, please don't forget to support me on the channel by hitting that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already for more similar content from myself. And if you have just subscribed, why not check out some of my other videos and guides here on this channel? Who knows, you might just enjoy them. And don't forget to hit that bell icon so that you get notified when I upload new videos and content to the channel. Also, for those interested, you can always find me on the Sethum Discord. Links to this, of course, you can find down below in the video's description, as well as in a pinned comment from myself. Until next time, stay safe, folks.